Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. This is District Training Assembly DOSE. We're offering the district training a second time so that we can let folks that maybe weren't identified or couldn't make our previous trainings so that they can attend this. And then we're also going to make this available. So if you're not watching this on Tuesday the 26th, at 7:05 and you're watching at some other time, you're clearly watching a recording. Thank you for watching the recording. So thanks everybody who's here for being here, and Barry for presenting. Tonight, our district training assembly is on membership. And we recently had a very successful membership summit put on by Earl, who is here with us today. And we had some really special guests. Director-elect for Zone 3334, Patrick Eakes, joined us. And one of our assistant Rotary coordinators in our area, our little neck of the woods, Hugh Dawkins from up in 7630, he came down and joined us as well. So we were really fortunate to have a great couple of folks that have a lot of experience and knowledge here with our extremely knowledgeable membership team to put together that summit. So tonight is going to kind of be a little bit of a follow-up and some additional information to really bring home the message that we spread to all the clubs that attended our membership summit on September 9th. So I'm going to hand it over to Barry to get started, and I'll be back in about a half hour, 45 minutes to let us go to questions. So is 40 minutes good for you, Barry? Is that good for your presentation? 35.
Who knows? Come back come back in 35 and let's see what
Well,
happens.
I'll be here the whole time, but I don't want to interrupt, so I'm going to mute, and I'll probably have my video off some of the time, but because I don't want to interrupt. But I'll pop back in, and I'm here if you have any questions. Just holler out my name. Okay, thank you. I'll turn it over to you, Barry.
Good evening, everyone. Hopefully the rest of the people who hope to be on will be on soon. And reporting some stuff from Eileen. About 1/3 of our clubs in the district have 20 members or less. And a few of them are, as Eileen says, in extremis. And that includes Alexandria West, Mount Vernon, Middlesex, Urbana, and Sterling, and a few others also. And what we are trying to do is take them out of extremis and bring them back onto a path of goodness and grow them to a viable club. Earl, as we know, has been working to provide leads to the club. And some of the struggles we've had are, once we get the leads, to get the members of the club, especially the membership chair and the president, to follow up and bring those people into the club if they want to come. And as most of the people know, I don't know if Sally knows this, we're working with the MAP program from the zone, and trying to use that as a tool to grow membership. Though since July 1st, we've had a net loss of 8 people. So we need to reverse that trend and grow a little more quickly. Some of the clubs are doing much better than others. Some are staying neutral, and some have lost members. Part of the issue that we've had is we've got a lot of senior members, including me, and we need a lot more younger members to facilitate further growth in the clubs. What is that, Sheila, with this?
The younger members like me, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And like Sally and Renee and Earl and I don't count. So, Peter, can you bring up my PowerPoint, because I had it on my laptop and it is not working. You're on mute, Peter.
Yeah. Wait 1 minute. I will have it for you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and let's get that. How's that?
That's fine. So what I've been noticing on my own is what we are trying to do to attract new members. And one of the issues we have, and it's reflected by the video that was presented at the summit about any town, anywhere, is bringing Rotary to the members, rather to prospective members, rather than asking them to come to us. And I don't know if Sally has seen this. I think the rest of us have seen the Anytown video. Sally, have you seen that?
I have not.
Can you flip to that, Peter?
Do you have it in here to
Yes, I do.
okay, let me see if I can.
And just remember, there's a special button to get music.
That's
There you
the
go, to get sound. You have
Oh,
to.
yeah, hang on, I need to go back then. Let me stop sharing. Because I didn't know you were gonna have that, so I need to okay.
I found if you right click on it and share the
I've got two screens here, which is goofing me up a bit. So I've lost.
right click on that.
Okay, what? Let me share here just a minute here. Let me
Thank you.
get out of here. Sure, there we go.
As Rotary, we often ask ourselves, how do we grow personally?
There we go.
As Rotary,
Do you need to go back and share your screen, Peter?
Yeah, I'm just had to get back up here so I could. Okay, now screen share.
We often ask ourselves, how do we grow personally, professionally, and organizationally? The answer is simple. To grow Rotary, we need more Rotary clubs. Let's use Anytown as an example. Anytown is a city of 100,000 people and home to one proud Rotary club. But there are hundreds of other people of action, just like us, who are uniquely qualified to become Rotary members. They share the same drive and represent the values and fundamentals of a Rotary member. So why aren't they members? Well, the current club meets on Monday. There are leaders in Anytown who can't meet on a Monday. By excluding this segment, the potential members in Anytown has shrunk. Now consider, what if the meeting is at noon on Monday? There are people who can meet on Monday, but can't meet at noon. So now we have a smaller audience for Rotary in Anytown. Of the remaining group, some aren't interested in a club with a sit-down lunch and speakers. They are passionate about service, but aren't interested in a traditional club experience. And that is okay. The Rotary Club of Anytown isn't doing anything wrong. It just doesn't appeal to particular segments of the community. And if we're going to thrive for years to come, we must adapt and embrace change. In Anytown, we have an opportunity to expand because potential members are everywhere. More than half of the eligible people are prospective Rotary members, waiting to make a bigger impact in their community. But what Rotary Club exists for them? If any town creates new clubs at new times and new places, the hidden potential for Rotary will be revealed. As people of action, we must broaden our reach and provide opportunities to all leaders in the community. Together, all of us can grow Rotary.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay. And get back to your slides here.
Yes, please.
Okay, tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave. Just gonna try this. Okay. Can you see your slide?
Yes, I can. You can slip down to the next one. So, as most of us know, and Sally, that club, any town club, is exactly what the Fairfax Rotary Club is. We meet Mondays at noon for lunch, and we have about 60 members, and about 20 show up for a meeting. And no matter what we've tried, we can't get more than 20 to 25 members to show up at a meeting. So unless we take steps to change our meeting pattern or how we want to attract people, we are going to shrink and we are not going to grow. So we need to think of ways to make people feel relevant, connected, needed, and understood. Peter, slip to the next slide, please. So this is a part of a poster that Jane Nash put together. And basically, it talks about things that we need and must do in order to grow Rotary. If we stick with the past, we will shrink, as Rotary has done in the past several years, and we won't be able to fulfill our objectives and our goals. And as you can see, there are a lot of choices that we have. We just have to embrace them. Peter, would you go to the next slide, please?
Barry, where can we get a copy of that?
I can send that to you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So some of the things that we need to discuss, and I made a list of 12 of them. They can be less than this and more depending on how you want to proceed. But clearly, time of meetings, frequency, location, format, dues, service projects, etc., are all things that we need to address with our members to determine if our club will succeed as it is, or whether or not it needs to change, or whether or not we need to split up into two different clubs. Peter, please. So I went to an amazing source of information to figure out what things we should be doing in order to succeed. And that source of information was ChatGPT. And I asked it what we should do, and it came up with a number of things that you will not find surprising. And I guess gathered them from multiple sources that seemed to make sense. So one of the first things was to show people what an impact on the community and the world Rotary is having. Peter, please. Next thing was to understand the individuals to whom we are trying to appeal. What will motivate them to remain in Rotary? And next thing was provide leadership opportunities, foster camaraderie, and then recognize and celebrate what we are doing and make people feel good about what's happening. Peter? We need to provide flexible involvement. So not everybody can come every week, and not everybody wants to come to a sit-down lunch, but some people will provide service. And we need to show the prospective members the professional and personal growth that can be obtained through staying in and being involved with Rotary. And we need to provide those who attend meetings with engaging programs and speakers. We don't want speakers, as we've had in our club sometimes, who are pushing their books or pushing some other product that is not relevant to people who are listening. They are the only one that I can say that was relevant in one of our meetings was a guy who was selling hard seltzer, and everybody who was there partook, but it really didn't make a significant difference in why you were going to join Rotary. Peter? One thing that I have found in our club, and I presume this happens in other clubs, is we don't ask other people to make decisions along with us. So having collaborative decision making would keep people involved and would allow them to have a say in what goes on in the club. Leaders aren't supposed to make all the decisions. They're supposed to keep people engaged and allow them to participate in the process. That's something that I think a lot of us as leaders forget about. And we need to adapt to changing needs. The younger people that we've tried to attract have young kids, and they put their kids first and us maybe second or third. So if we can't adapt to the things that they want and how they will participate in the club, they are going to leave. And I know that in our club, those people who we didn't involve quickly left. We also need to mentor them and support them in the process and listen to what they want to do and stop saying, but that's the way we've always done it, so therefore that must be the right way to do it. Peter? Another thing we forget about is how to communicate clearly. And communicating clearly means not only telling people what we hope they will become part of, but listening to them so communication becomes a two-way street. Another thing we fail to do in many cases is to engage families. And if we don't allow the members to bring their family members into functions, they are not going to come to those functions. Tomorrow night, we're having a quote unquote mixer in Fairfax at PJ's Cadoos, which seems to be our default choice. And we changed it from a Thursday night to a Wednesday because we were told that many Rotarians have kids, and on Thursday night, there are soccer matches. So hopefully, changing it to a Wednesday will help us engage the families. I'm not sure they're going to bring their kids, but at least they can come on a night that a spouse can take care of the kids. We need to listen to the members, and we need to communicate with them, as I said previously, and we need to hear what they need. And if we don't allow them to express their needs and we don't allow them to get involved, we are going to lose them. They will not stay more than 2 years at the most. Peter? Again, remembering that each Rotarian is unique. So some of these things will apply to a group of them, other things will apply to other ones, but we need to show them what the value of Rotary is if they're thinking of us versus another group that they might spend their time with. Yesterday, we brought in a bunch of scouts to our meeting, and scouting is one of the charities that we participate in and give money. And my position is, unless we partner with the scout troops or other organizations, and they tell their group members or their families what we do for them and why we are valuable to them, is extremely important. I don't want to just give out a check and not have them become our partners. Peter? Okay, hang on a second. That's what Peter said. I think there's a couple of slides that you might have missed. Okay. These were towards the end.
Yeah, this is 15, you had 16 slides, so this is the second to last slide.
Okay, slide up a couple because there were a couple of posters that I thought I put on.
Up here?
Yeah. That was at the beginning, we missed those. What I did is work with Jane Nash to try and put together some posters that we could put up in businesses around the community. And the first one she put up was for Gainesville. And I then adapted that for our club. And it has a QR code and it has the different things that you can do as a Rotarian. This poster can be used for all the different clubs with minimal adaptability. It's in Canva and it's very easy to adapt. So if you can get some businesses in your community to give us some public imagery, I thought that would be extremely helpful.
This is really nice, Barry. I like that.
Yeah, and it's consistent across the district. So wherever you are, whether you're in Rappahannock or Fairfax or Tysons or Bailey, you're going to see basically the same poster. So that's one of the things I think we don't do as well as we could, is put ourselves out to the community. So once we do all these things, I thought each club could put together a group, a committee, and then basically take the different issues that we face and try and work within those parameters to make ourselves more visible and more relevant. I can stop sharing my screen, Peter. And so that's basically where we are as of tonight. This does not get into the issue of impact clubs, satellite clubs, companion clubs, and all the things that I think we're discussing in October. But I think it's a good place to start. Sally, did we give you a headache?
No, not at all.
Okay. Everybody else on the call, aside from you, has seen some version of this many, many, many times. The only thing they haven't seen are the posters.
And in this format, Barry, this was a great presentation. I even learned from it. And I really do love that poster. I think we should have a poster done for every single club and get them moving and out into their communities. Those posters are wonderful. Did you like the poster, Sally?
Yeah, I did. One of the things that we do in our community when we have a booth in different parades or whatever's happening in our town, we print out the pictures that we have given to high school students for scholarships. So that draws the
Yeah.
public in because the kids like, oh, I know that person. Why do you have a picture of her? Or other parents stop by and we start talking about it. So it makes it interactive and it brings us closer to the community, having pictures that people know of.
That's right. That's really a good idea.
Mhm.
That I think is a good adjunct to having these posters, and
Mhm.
whatever events you have, whether it's selling Mustangs or Tyson's festival or whatever, putting up Viva Vienna, putting up posters of things we do with a QR code, I think allows people to learn more about us rather than say, "Oh yeah, Rotary, yeah, sure, whatever you are, we don't care."
Well, they
Um,
think, international and yes, it is international, but what we're doing in our community is something huge and that we want to spread amongst everybody here. And
Right.
maybe someone will want to join us knowing that we're helping our community and
Mhm.
not just an international club.
yeah, I think we sometimes fail to differentiate between our local foundations and RI Foundation, and focus a little bit more on what we do for our neighbors.
Mhm.
We list the nonprofits that we help, so people become aware that we are not only scholarship based, but helping other nonprofits in the community.
I've been talking with Chris Robinson of Gainesville, and one of the things he's focused on is trying to approach established groups. And one of the groups he's looking at is his local pickleball group, not surprising. And there are 300 members in that pickleball group.
Wow.
So he wants to pitch them on how to set up a separate type club that basically deals with their needs and is an impact club or whatever. No meetings, just service from a group of people who know each other. And he is looking at another organization which does a giving circle. And basically, there's 2,000 members, I believe he said, somewhere in his area. And they operate on the dollar a day principle. So all their fees are $365 a year. Okay. So they are that, and they set up their own 501c3, and basically they don't have Rotary behind them, but it's a different alternative, and we need to compete with organizations like that to make ourselves valuable and relevant.
Mhm.
So it's a different approach. I tried to figure out a way to get corporate membership for 300 people, but apparently there's some organization called RI that's frowns on things like that. But we'll figure it out.
Did you want the whole corporation to be involved or set
Yeah,
up a
the whole organization, or as many of them as could be, would become members of an impact or companion club, etc., and they would pick their own charities based on what we do. And the selling point is that we have a 501c3 set up, that we have an organization that gives locally and internationally, and has a lot of educational resources behind it.
Mhm.
So, and keeping the dues to a minimum, because there are no lunches, no breakfasts, no dinners, et cetera,
Yeah.
and grow it from that perspective. So that's what we've been doing.
Pretty cool.
Any questions?
No.
No questions.
Maybe I'll ask you one, but not for Rotary per se, but that one you were just talking about, the $365 a day thing. So how do they determine if they don't have meetings? How do they determine which organizations they're going to support, how much they're going to support them, and all of that type of stuff?
I guess they have a board, Peter, and because it's a 501c3, and they, from that board, they make selections each year who they're going to support. And
But I mean, I would assume the board must go out and ask the members them. I mean, this is my question, how, I mean, that would, to me, would they have to have some type of meetings at some point in time, I would think, to make those decisions, or to poll or whatever, or to brief the members, or however they do it.
I think they probably do, but just a minimal number of meetings.
Okay. Well, that was my question, because I mean,
yeah.
with Ross with no meetings, it's kind of like, how does this work?
Yeah, it's a good point. I assume they've had some fits and starts about it, but
Mhm.
I've seen other organizations who are doing similar things and don't have the bureaucracy and the structure that Rotary has. And so we have to show them that there is value to the Rotary structure, and to compete with them in terms of why they should give us money rather than the Giving Circle or some other organization.
Mhm.
So Chris Robinson, his club, I think with a lot of his efforts, got a $500,000 grant to help a number of organizations in town, which their Rotary Club has partnered with to help for the year.
You know, there are clubs that really struggle to find the right fundraising activities. And something like, if you take what you just said about the Giving Circle, if some of the clubs turn their fundraiser into a giving circle for the club and invite the community to participate, they could, I mean, even if it was our club, 78 people, that's almost $29,000 a year that our club would be making over and above anything else. So if you get some of these other clubs that are really struggling and that have, even if they have 10 members, that's 3,600 or almost
Yeah,
$3,700 a year. And if they can get some of their community members to join with them, it can grow. I mean, we could really work on something like this and help some of these smaller clubs. I
Yeah,
love
when you're
that
talking
idea.
$365 a year, if that's what you're going to say. Now, I mean, you look at people's dues, we're already saying, well, you need to cut back dues, cut the meals out, I mean, when you add up just the district and RI dues, that's about $100 at least per person. So, and that can't be coming out of the foundation. So if you're saying, well, you want
No,
$365 on top of that to go into the fund, now you're up to $400 or $500 a year, and we've already have people saying that's what or people are charging too much. So I mean, so you have an issue here. I mean, if it comes to money, and we keep saying, well, money shouldn't be the driving factor, that people do service, and other people who with the foundation, well, we want people to give money. I mean, so I'm not sure that would necessarily work for the struggling clubs.
yeah, but Peter, the struggling clubs aren't doing any service either. Most
they're
of them,
not.
it consists of people who are in their late 60s, 70s, and 80s. So they're not going out and cleaning streams and filling backpacks and doing things of that nature. I think we need to figure out how to match members with clubs that do the things that they can do.
Yeah.
No, I can see something like that, yes, but that I'm just pointing out though, I mean, if you're looking at from funding wise, well, you get these clubs to do this. Well, if you've got older people that have the money, and this goes back to the thing, if some people can do the service or want to do service, other people have money that they're willing to give. I think it would have to be a combination thereof. But the bottom line is we need to get the younger people. And when we say younger, to me, young is in their mid to late 30s, early 40s.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the generation. Those are the ones we want to bring in. I'm not saying we can't bring in younger ones if they're interested and want to come and try and entice them to come in. That's good too. But the ones who are in their, I say, mid 30s to early 40s, usually their kids are of an age that it's a lot easier, interact, things like that. And they don't have to be focused on their kids so much like when they're really little, because the kids are semi-independent by that time too. I mean, so you have them, but and they're better ensconced in the possibly management leadership roles within whatever industry they're in by that time.
Absolutely. I think that, we need to be like Major League Baseball and do some trades so that people who are in one club who really maybe should be in another club and vice versa, to have them have their goals and abilities aligned better than they are now. Because some of the clubs that have less than 20 members are really suffering, and I believe have a preponderance of people who are older and can't do all the service projects.
Yeah. But I would also posit to you that, and this kind of goes back to the old style Rotary, because of the changes we've made, it's a much looser fitting organization.
Yep.
I mean, one thing about having the weekly meetings, the point to having the weekly meetings or more often was people came and they wanted to come because of the camaraderie, the fellowship that was at those meetings. As we've gotten away from those meetings, the tightness of the group tightness isn't there anymore. So it's kind of like before they say, well, the reason to encourage people to make sure they're there every week was because if they didn't come for a week or 2 or 3 or 4, also it was easier not to come to a meeting, and they were starting to drift away. And I'm concerned that that's part of the problem we have now, is we've made it so loose that you don't have that draw in some cases. I mean, it's very easy for someone not to come, and they don't come again, and pretty soon they're no longer there. So we've got to get that draw back where they want to come, that they're having fun, they want to be there and be part of the organization.
It's a tricky
It is.
And where you used to join Rotary because somebody asked you to come, now you're asking Rotary if you can become a member. And you don't necessarily know the people because of your business relationships, so that you're looking for some sort of other glue to keep them together. And that's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have to say.
Well, that's awesome. I think you've given us a lot to think about. Who has any questions
Absolutely.
or comments to add to what Barry's been talking about? Anybody?
I'm curious and what fundraising are you guys doing?
In my club, our largest fundraiser is a golf tournament.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Is that
And
the only fundraiser that you do?
we're doing a travel raffle. Okay.
What's that?
And basically, we use a company called Raffle Creator to set up an online raffle, and we use a company called Winspire to offer trips. And our goal is to sell 100 tickets at $100 a piece and have a prize that's worth about $3,500. But I have to tell you, this year we're struggling with that, and we've only sold 32 tickets, and I've got a month to go. So we're in trouble. The other fundraiser, that's my fundraiser, basically, I raised money for my birthday. And this year, that produced about $2,000.
Great.
And I just went online several times and said, hey, give me $20, give me $50, give me whatever. And it's a lot easier than having a raffle. It's certainly a lot easier than having a golf tournament. So if everybody in your club raised $500 to $1,000 for their birthday, you'd be set for the year, right?
So
How are
So
you
what did you
money?
target that for though, Barry?
just to our foundation.
Okay, so you didn't have any specific,
No, well, I emphasized the scholarships that we were giving. Okay, and our largest donations are about $18,000 to $20,000 a year go to scholarships. So that was what I emphasized, and I had pictures of the kids in the classroom and pushed that as the main source of our benevolence. So to me, it was an easy thing to do. And for the last 3 years, I probably raised between $1,500 and $2,000 a year. So, and if you didn't see that on Facebook, you were not looking on Facebook.
Daily. I mean, oh, never
Yes,
mind.
yes, definitely. But
I just read a private message from you. If I've already sent you this, my apologies.
some people go, "Why did you send this to me again?" I said, "I'm sorry. Just ignore me." But it's a lot easier if you have the willingness to put yourself out there. It's an awful lot easier than having a organized fundraiser such as a golf tournament. And since many clubs have golf tournaments, we're competing with each other to try and raise the money, and it's a lot of manpower and a lot of imposition on people to buy holes, to come to dinner, and all of those things. So
Sally, what I did in our club a couple of years ago, I had a friend that was coming in. I took her out to breakfast and we started talking about Rotary and just kept talking about Rotary. And she ended up joining Rotary. And after that, I went to our fundraiser and just set up a table, and people approached me about it, and I took their names and I took every one of them out for breakfast or lunch. And of the first year of the 31, we got 6 new members. The next year we had 20 some. We got 9 new members. I mean, it was just a matter
Wow.
of just sitting and talking about Rotary and finding out what their interests were. I would start talking and end up being more of a listener about, I mean, they would get just as excited as, and I get very excited about Rotary. I've had the Kool-Aid many times, and it takes a lot for me to stop and listen. But we have really, we've grown our club from like 40 to 78 in
Wow.
3 years. And it's just been fabulous.
What
And
city?
they're all active.
What city are you in?
Vienna,
Okay.
Vienna.
another approach that I'm trying to push is getting an organization. We had the vice president, I talked to her, of nursing at all the Inova hospitals, trying to get Inova to become a companion club, basically dedicated to serving the Inova community. Because this woman wanted to join Rotary, but she said, "Barry, you think a nurse vice president can come to a 12 o'clock Monday lunch meeting every week? It just is not going to happen." So putting a companion club on a campus of Inova or another organization is a way to consider to grow Rotary.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you can look at membership, innovative membership models in your own club as well. You could create a corporate membership, and then the representative from the organization that joins would be the primary person, but they could send others in their place, and those folks would just pay for their own meal, and the corporate cost is a certain amount for that group basically to be a member of the club. So that's another way to bring in maybe a business. Someone like Barry mentioned, that nurse manager is probably not going to be available for all of the meetings. Someone else on her staff or someone else that works there might be able to, and they could take turns. So that's just another option. You can do innovative club membership models or innovative individual membership models. And Rotary has just done a fantastic job of thinking of everything and just giving us more permission to kind of rethink Rotary. And it's shocking to me how much freedom they've given us. And I know Peter alluded to that earlier, maybe too much. But if we self-regulate, and if we're able to, you know, kind of keep our finger on the pulse of either our district or our club with how they're doing, then we can make money moves based on, you know, our own area or our own club. We don't want to disenfranchise our current members, but we, you know, changing club culture or trying to get folks to be interested in doing new things, it can sometimes be a challenge. And so we have to recognize that just because there is an idea doesn't mean that your whole club is going to go, let's go do it right now. It might take a minute. You have to get some buy-in, kind of explain the whole process, explain what's going to happen, ask questions, do surveys, make sure everyone in the room is comfortable with what's going on. And if they're not, ask them why. We need a really good reason, not just that's the way we've always done it. That's the famous answer that we get. That's just the way we've always done it. And for decades, it may have worked. But if it's not working now, let's look at what could work. And I'm of the thought, and this is kind of what we do at the district level as well. Don't be scared. But we just try stuff. And if it doesn't work, we untry it. So
exactly.
We're never going to get anywhere if we don't try new stuff. And Paul Harris said years ago that the world is a changing place and Rotary must change with it. So we can reinvent Rotary right now, post-COVID especially. Just take a look at what we're doing and figure out what might work better for our current members and our potential members.
Yeah,
what happened?
We're kind of in a situation where the traditional clubs are eventually just going to kind of fade away, and what we're in is a time frame where we're sustaining our current members because you want to dance with who brung you, you know, and so forth. But we're going to have to morph into something totally different than what a lot of Rotarians that are out there today consider a Rotary club.
Right. Well, an after effect of me taking all those potential members to breakfast, I would take them to the same restaurant all the time, and my husband got jealous, so I now take him there on Sundays for breakfast. And you know, 2 months ago, the owner of the restaurant walked up to me and said, "How do I become a member of this Rotary Club?" And I said, "You just did." And he is a very active member today. It's amazing.
Did you buy him a free breakfast at his own restaurant?
No, but I introduced him to Saeed at Cafe Renaissance, and Saeed invites him over all the time, which is a real fancy restaurant right next door to his restaurant. So
that's awesome.
I
And
think
it's also about building partnerships. relationships,
Exactly,
community.
relationships.
Yeah, it's not just numbers. We want quality, not quantity. We want to make sure that we're getting members that are going to enhance our club's experience, and that our club is going to enhance their lives, and make their lives better. And so I think that when we're talking to potential members, if we're letting them know we care how this is going to affect you in your life, we want to make it better and enhance it and bring you more fellowship and give you more satisfaction for service, and give you opportunities to invest in Rotary Foundation and see what they're doing across the world. Have some very frank conversations with these potential members, and we should be having these same conversations with our current members as well, because retention
Exactly.
is just as important as recruiting new members. If we have a member, like Peter said, you change up the format and suddenly people are disappearing, there's less accountability, so people are able to kind of feel like they can slide under the radar, their lives get busy. We need to be reaching back out to those folks and saying, all right, what do we have to do to get you back involved? You know, your passion was always in youth. We're revitalizing our youth program. We're bringing back RILA. Post-COVID, we have our speech contest again. Enhance their experience, and if they're falling away, find out what will bring them back, because it could be as simple as running a youth contest again. Maybe they come back and run it because that was something that they really loved, and when the kids weren't in school, they weren't going on, and maybe it's taken a while to get it back. Those types of things are things that we also need to be looking at. What's worked in the past that might reinvigorate our members to get back involved again. And so it's just a matter of kind of assessing. And that's why we say do a club assessment, do some surveys, really study what your membership is, what they want, and make a strategic plan. We have a new program coming out. It's a visioning program. Barry's going to be on the team. A bunch of us are going to take the training. It's a pilot program coming from the zone, and there's only 5 districts in our zone participating, and we're one of them. And basically this visioning program is if membership and strategic planning kind of had like a really cool baby and used membership enhancements to kind of figure out a strategic plan, that's how it's going to work. So some of our clubs that we've identified that are having some issues, this pilot program may be a great place for us to start with them. So we're going to take the training in November and December, and we'll be able to roll it out at the beginning of next year, and offer it to a couple of the clubs, to work with them one-on-one. And that's kind of how it goes. So keep your ear to the ground, because if this is a successful program with some of our struggling clubs, think what it could do for the clubs that are, kind of on a teetering balance point right now, or the ones that have shown growth already. Imagine if we plug them into this solution, how much further they could go. So I think this is going to be something really good. We're just now getting down brass tacks with Sean Sawyer, who's our zone ICA, Innovative Club Advocate, and also running this visioning program, pilot program. So keep your ears open for the information about that, because I think that's another solution that we'll have in the membership realm. So
it just isn't one solution.
No,
we need to
you're right.
be as innovative as we can. And I think it's either Renee or Sheila said, there's no box. Just
that's Pat's famous line. She said, don't think outside of the box. Throw the box away.
Yep.
I love it. Thank you so much, Barry. That was a really great presentation. I appreciate that. We've got this on record. So Sheila's gonna make sure we get this one posted as well, so folks can take a look. Rotary 101 and all of the DTAs are going to be available. Well, Sheila, it might have been a Rotary 101 that we had our extended meeting after. Whichever one is 3 hours, that's what we need to cut. Anyway, that's on the recording forever as well. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. And Sally, do you have any last minute things that you want to say or ask? You're the star of the show tonight.
Well, yes, when you have a new member, is there a criteria? Is there an online application? I don't know any of those things. Do you ever turn somebody away? And if you do, what are the reasons you would turn somebody away?
Sally, I think
Wow.
you turn them away. I can sell anybody anything. Okay. So the question is whether or not you've sold them you have something to sell that's relevant to them. If they tell you they're coming in just to get new business, you might tell them maybe Rotary's not for them. If they're coming in to provide service and do good in the community, maybe that's who they are. So you need to feel them out and then figure out whether or not they have the heart of a Rotarian.
And your club's bylaws should have guidelines based on, here's criteria for people to be able to, apply for membership to the club. And if you take a look at the bylaws and you don't like them, you can, as a board, amend them, and you guys can make a new criteria or new decisions. But basically, it's up to the board what members they bring in. And if you feel like someone is joining for the wrong reasons, usually my advice is to follow the 4-way test. If they're telling the truth, it's beneficial to, follow the 4-way test when you're deciding if someone should be a member of your club. That is the best thing. And there is an online application. The website has the ability for you to be able to go and send a membership application to someone. But you know what? I think that you should make an appointment with Sheila Brennan because she is a queen of DAC-DB, and she can really help you with some of your questions that you've got on specifics, like how do I enter, all of those kind of details. Because I know that you became a membership chair recently and after we had our training, and you're kind of brand new. I would also love for you to connect, Earl, maybe you could connect Sally with Eileen, or you would know who on the membership team might be able to do a little one-on-one with her to kind of talk about.
Be glad to do that.
Great.
When you look at like the RI requirements or qualifications for a member, it's very straightforward and very simple. You have to have a good reputation in your community. You have to be willing to do service. There's no requirements that says you have to have been have to have this kind of education or this kind of work experience and so forth. I think people have a conception of what those requirements are, and it's really a lot simpler than that.
Yeah, but
I
if I
agree.
recall right by the council legislation, there are some prohibitions. In other words, legal, and you can't be a felon, you can't be, certain things that if it comes out, then you will be, removed from being a Rotarian. And it's the extreme ones. If you're a pedophile, if you're a,
Sure.
things like that. And that is listed. They don't say pedophile, but they talk about if you're a felon, convicted felon, things like that. So there are some restrictions with that because, again, as you're supposed to be an upright citizen in the community, and ideally you're supposed to be a leader. And when you say leader, that can be, if you're in charge of anyone at all, if you run a gas station, if you run, but being able to show leadership, and you can develop when you're in Rotary too. But Rotarians are supposedly leaders in their communities.
Excellent. Thank
Thank you.
All right. So Sheila, you'll reach out. You and Sally can connect, and then you'll connect her to Earl. Would that be okay? All right.
Yep.
And then we'll make sure that she gets some one-on-one.
And also go right back online, go to the 12th of October and sign up for the last session of this, because that's me with DAC-DB. Okay.
Yes.
It's October 12th.
October 12th. Yep. And she'll be doing that one. All right. Well, then I'll let you all go now. It's after 8:03 So everyone's off the hook. We finished 3 minutes late. That's okay because we got a little rocky start, remember? We had trouble with Barry's sound. So we'll call that. We'll still say we were only an hour.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone. I look forward to seeing all of whoever's going to be there on Saturday. We have our foundation summit on Saturday. So whoever's going to be there, I'll see you guys there.